Folks, welcome back to the Jimmy O Show, a very special part 3 of 3, the third episode chronicling the magical 2022 season. 1998 is a long way to go, man. Nobody's going to talk about us anymore. Yeah, nobody did it. It was a Freudian slip. But nobody's going to talk about us anymore, man. Everybody's only going to be talking about you guys. That's okay. That's history's records are made to be broken. But welcome to the finale, the climax, as we discuss the last 4 games of the season, including the Cotton Bowl and the American Championship game. Before we get started, folks, be sure to check out the link in the description below, both on YouTube and in your podcast feed, for a link to the Team Like No Other poster, a special poster we had designed. If you buy this poster for $80, it's going to be come to you autographed by Coach Fritz, as well as the 4 captains. It is a collector's item like no other. Very limited edition thing, and the proceeds go to these guys. Proceeds go to the Fear to Wave Collective, with a small part of it also going to Children's Hospital, who is featured on that poster as well. Please also go to ftwcollective.com. You'll get a link to that. If you can't find that the link in the description, go to our website. Go to our website. You get information on the poster, but also everything we're doing in terms of helping these guys out, figure out how to donate, figure out how to help out these guys. And what they're doing to help the New Orleans community. Finally, I guess as we're going to be heading into baseball season, be on the lookout for our FTW Collective pledge that we're going to be doing. Is going to be going live in a couple weeks, where you can pledge per win, strikeout, and home run by the team. You pledge a dollar amount, and every time those things happen, we develop. Every week we'll charge your account for the amount of your pledges, and that money will also go to the collective. So if that's successful for baseball season, we're gonna roll it out for football next year. Y'all gonna tell me what stats though? I'm thinking sacks, turnovers, and touchdowns. Pancakes. Oh, now we talking. Okay. All right. So. All right, guys, let's chop it up now. We are into the home stretch of the season now, man.
Yes, sir.
We are 8-2 now, and going SMU's coming to our place. Night game, Thursday night game. Bad blood, man. Those guys had our number. Coach Fritz has won a lot of games against a lot of people. Was 0-6 against SMU at his Tulane career. Really 1-5. But by the official records, 0-6, because the Banks was in. There was no doubt about that. That was before your time. Sincere, you might have been here. Freshman? No, you wasn't here for Banks' then. Nope, that was before you too. Y'all was still in high school, yeah. That would have put us in our first bowl game in his second year, but Jonathan Banks was ruled short, and we did not finish season 5-7. But a lot of heartbreak with SMU. Good team. They were tied for second or third in the league when they came to Ullman. A lot of big talk about SMU and what they brought to the table. Their high-flying passing attack, whether we could slow them down, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. That game was fun, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
59-24 final, guys. Why don't y'all just sort of, Nick, maybe you can turn over to guys get some of their thoughts based on your specific knowledge. But first, your general thoughts on that game.
Just overall, just a very, very heartfelt moment with being senior night and being recognized. I knew it wasn't going to be our last time at Yeoman Stadium. I just had that key feeling that it wasn't going to be. But to get recognized by the crowd of, being a senior, and to be able to reflect on my time at Yeoman and it finally be my turn to go out and carry the flowers to my family was definitely an emotional night. Just an overall physical game. But just looking at SMU at the time, Tanner Mordecai was, on fire, had lit the league up the week prior versus Houston, breaking a couple records. And then you look at the receiver in Rasheed Rice, who was one of the top receivers in this year's draft class and had been having himself a season as well. So looking at those guys from a defensive standpoint coming in, we knew that we would have to affect the passer and play great defense on the back end, and never doubted the offensive guys of what they were going to do. So first and foremost, just want to talk to Sincere and Jha'Quan about, the offensive attack. You guys came out and didn't miss a beat, coming off the loss against UCF. You guys definitely had something on your mind. So just take us through, what that meant to go out there and have such a astounding offensive performance versus a talented SMU team.
I can go first.
Yeah, you go first.
So, it meant a lot, really, to in the past, especially last year, we just haven't been able to get anything going offensively against SMU. Defense, y'all usually go out there and do y'all's thing, and after UCF, when not our greatest offensive performance, and we knew what we had to do to go out there and put on a show, especially on senior night. At the time, I was still a senior, planning on that being one of my last times in Yeoman too. So I definitely had a little bit of a different chip on my shoulder as well. And I said it to the guys before the game started. It's not just for the seniors, it's for the younger guys too, to show how much you care about the seniors, how much you are willing to put on the line for the seniors. So I think it was a real special game and opportunity.
I'm just going with me, man. A lot of people don't know I was committed to SMU, so every time we play them, there's always a chip on my shoulder, just giving a payback to them to beat their tails, just coming from my freshman to sophomore year to my junior year. My first 2 years we didn't beat them, and just going back to high school and coming to the games and everything, and we never did beat SMU. But this year was special that we got the chance to get the win. Just experiencing it with the guys and the seniors and everything, just making history. All year long, not just that game.
Right.
And the office attack, that they, just like Nick said, they played Houston and everything that week before, and they put up a lot of numbers on the offensive side too, playing against SMU. But we knew they was going to have a lot of chances to make big plays, and shout out to the O-line, the quarterback, and then the wide receivers and the running back to making the plays when the plays need to be made and everything. So, and as you can see, we scored 59 points, I think. 59 points, and it was a great game. Offensive side of the ball, special teams, and defensive side of the ball.
And then, Pat, just, looking at you coming from TCU, I know you played those guys a lot. I know the previous year they had, upset you guys in Fort Worth. So what did the SMU win mean to you?
It meant a lot because I never beat them, so I just wanted to go out there and get a big win against them. So, and then it was on senior night, so that made it more special for my seniors. So just wanted to get a win.
Yeah, that game exercised a lot of demons, but I guess let's detour a little bit. Let's talk about, with you, the uniqueness, I guess, of being an athlete at a place like Tulane, and Tulane is one of few really kind of like this. Like you could certainly have stuck with the senior commitment, had opportunity to play on Sundays next year. You decided to come back. What were some of the reasons that went into running it back one more year?
Mainly my main concern is taking care of what we built here, and the ability to take care of home and what we've built. What originally I was focused on laying the foundation for the younger guys and, laying out the map for the next year. Well, now I'm a part of that as well. And, that opportunity is great. And to be able to watch some of the younger guys who I would watch in practice and be like, okay, they're going to, give them a year or two, they'll be able to really make something for the team and really perform for the team. And to be able to see those guys and have the opportunity is amazing. And I also needed that degree pretty bad. You have that opportunity to get a graduate degree from Tulane, you better take it. And that's one thing I discussed with my mom before coming to school is I wanted to get my master's, and she's gonna hold me to that. So
you gotta do it, man.
Gotta do it.
That's fantastic. I mean, and that's really, when you look at all the transfer portal and all that stuff, I mean, we don't lose a lot of guys in it. And I think the value of the degree and the culture that exists here and makes you want to be a part of it and stay a part of it as long as possible. I mean, it really is a special thing you guys got going. You exemplify that, obviously. So, guys, I just, as I think about SMU, and I just think about the stretch of the season, the one guy, he's not with us right now. I was thinking about guy Top, man. I mean, he was on a roll at this part of the year. Who? Tajay.
Top, man.
I said Top. I ain't never heard you say that.
Oh, yeah. Well, he called himself. That's what I call him. He was the top running back in the country to my eye. I'll tell you that. I know some people might have ranked him high, but ain't nobody played like Tajay down the stretch. Right. And, and that SMU game, he just kind of went wild. And Sincere, y'all had a lot to do with that up front. I talked to Coach Sabota before the USC game, and I said, you know, Coach, what's the deal with them? You know, he's like, man, look, they got a bunch of good-looking athletes, but they're a little assignment sloppy. You know, it kind of remind me of SMU. Was that the case in SU where, like, guys is not where they're supposed to be, made your job a little easier, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So we game plan all week. We had a bye week earlier in the couple weeks before, so we got to go look ahead and get a little bit of SMU, so we weren't caught off guard. Coming off the bye week, and having some prior things to study on, some film to study. And one thing they did was they would move a lot pre-snap, try to get the offensive line and jump off sides, anybody jump off sides that they could. And, a lot of the time it'd mess up their assignments if we caught them in the middle of a shift, or they're planning and banking on us being jumpy and not really ready for a play. So they definitely moved out of their gaps a lot, and you could tell which way they were moving, or if they're moving one way, they're going to slant back to a different way. So it was really nice to game plan too, and that was a big tell. So they definitely moved themselves out of some plays and made it a lot easier on us.
And that makes bring my nerd out a little bit. A lot of late movement, slant, stunt stuff can frustrate a man gap run scheme, which is kind of what we transitioned to, right? Like we were going to start as more of a zone type of thing, but we went there. But that game, I guess, was a lot more. I think a duo was big that game, right? And it's a little bit easier dealing with some of that late movement and that look. But to my eye, the money play for this team all year long was the counter, right? Was that our most successful run play, or is that just me?
I think it was. I think it was. I know most of our explosives came from counters and passes. I think the counters was just really, really set up nicely by what we did all season. We started really wanting to get that outside zone, and wasn't really working for us, and teams started kind of playing and play for it. So we transferred to a little bit of duo and inside zone, and we started running counter a lot during Houston. I think it was the game we really, really started running a lot of counter, and it just from there just took off. Just explosive after explosive, and we realized we got enough speed and enough power pulling around that we can just open up a gap very efficiently on counter. And I'm glad that's what we got to, and it ended up being a lot of fun because it's really fun. You line up and teams will game plan for you, and you give them a certain look, and they're like, oh, like it's counter. Like, we know guards pulling, and just to know that it's one of those plays that you line up and they can know it's coming. The whole stadium
you still got them.
Can't really stop you. It's awesome.
Yeah. Nick, you thematically, you kind of touched on something we've seen in a number of games in this season. That's Rashee Rice, top dog wide receiver. We really, between he and Dell, two first team type guys at receiver, but high draft prospect. And once again, the stud, we took away that stud. It's kind of like that Belichick idea of making you try to beat Hamp. I think, a lot of our defense schemes seem to come out, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but where I'm going to take away what you do best. You're going to have to beat me with something else, right? And once again, Rashee Rice didn't have a big game against us that night.
Right, and this just goes back to what we talked about in episode 1 of guys being able to step up that, along the course of the season may not have gotten a big spotlight. And you look at guys like DJ Douglas, to come out and, make key plays, get a key interception that game. You're looking at, the Jet, who was on the last episode, be able to come out and get 3 sacks and really just have a great night. Looking at the younger guys in the linebacker room, being able to go out and make secure tackles. I know one series I had dislocated my finger. And had to go get it, pop back in place, get stitched up at halftime. But, Jesus Machado came in and didn't miss a beat. And it just showed, being that late in the season, how we can bring guys in and they just pick up the momentum. And we frustrated Tanner Mordecai. We frustrated him. We frustrated Rashee Rice. It was a couple times he tried to run a little over routes because that's one of the things that he had been getting people on all year. And Coach Moose had put an emphasis on, okay, they do a lot of FIB, so Nick, you're gonna have to carry the over routes. And every time, I wanted to show off my speed just as anybody else. So, I'm on top of him. And me and him are are pretty good buddies, and so I'm just letting them know, like, yeah, you're pretty fast, I'm pretty fast too. And so, you know, just being able to cover him on the overalls. But like you said, Jimmy, we just shut them down. And I feel like another thing that was good that night is being able to get young guys experience as far as the guys that come to work every week, and the walk-ons, to be able to get them the opportunity to play in Yeoman Stadium, the opportunity to play in front of their family was a true moment to that night as well. Being able to get guys like Tay Jernigan in the game, Jonathan Mattier, guys that come in week by week and help contribute to wins that, you know, a lot of people may not see their contribution, but it was nice to see those guys get on the field and be able to make some plays that night.
And we try to recognize them here. We give the special teams players of the week every week, and, you know, those guys were some of the recipients. But Big Pat, you know, shut down a big high flying offense, and then it's you know, it's on to the next big matchup with Cincinnati at their place, Thanksgiving weekend. All the marbles, winner to the conference championship game, because we knew by that point the winner was not only going to the conference championship game, the winner was hosting.
Right.
Preparation for Cincinnati, playoff participant last year, the top dog in the conference. You know, they built an incredible program there. You know, they're not going to go down lightly, right?
31 games.
34, I think, get home win streak coming into that one.
Win streak. They really just fired us up. I really want to hear from the guys, just overall, knowing the environment that we were about to face. What was going through you guys' mind going into that week?
So first, I knew they had a streak. I didn't know the exact, like, how long that their home game streak was.
It was a couple seasons.
And, yeah, so just thinking about it, like, man, they're conference champions. They think they're going to do it again all season. We're hearing about Cincinnati this, Cincinnati that. And we want to be those guys. We are those guys. And so just preparing that week and just knowing our opponent and knowing all the stakes and that it led up to that, and you can hear we're focused on 1-0, but, you know, you've got fans and family members asking, like, oh, it's all going to come down to that Cincinnati game at the end of the season. And yeah, well, it did. and we're here. And so, you know, it's everything. The one thing I tell myself before the game and how I was really feeling that game is this is everything you prayed for, and now you're here. Mm-hmm. So it was just something we couldn't pass up on, and I could see in a lot of the guys' eyes pregame that it was something we were ready for and an opportunity we couldn't pass up.
Yeah. You know, and that's where 1-0, you know, to me it showed its worth, right? Because there's a lot of hype and off-field and narrative, I guess, you can get caught up in.
Right.
In that, but the winner of that game was going to be who played the best football for 60 minutes, and we had to play it. I mean, we had to play hard. I mean, look, Tajay, another huge performance. Right? Didn't come out.
Didn't.
Dude had every carry from the running back position in that game, and just those guys are tough. I mean, conference defensive player of the year. We were robbed. Don't get me wrong. We had the best defensive players: Nick, Dory, you know, Megan, and Pat, and you guys. But pace was real. He was a good player.
Yeah, it was.
But, you know, sincere, to y'all's credit, he was silent for the most part of that game. Right. Disruptive player, sacks, tackles for losses, really didn't do anything behind the line of scrimmage that I'm aware of. Excellent game plan by Coach Nagle and the crew. But that was a man's game, man, and we were men.
Jha'Quan, just to ask you, you're Tajay's roommate. And so Tajay, you know, coming off a great game against SMU, very emotional night for him, not only it being his senior night, but him getting invited to the Senior Bowl. What was his mentality going into that Cincinnati game, if you remember?
I'm just going back before the season even started. His mentality was the same, you know, just showing not just everybody, but proving to himself that he still got the juice, you know, just after the ACL and high school and then happened in 2020 versus Sunder and missing everything, just showing that he can get back to himself. And just every day he was hard on himself, just him going through the process of after his second ACL, just he was sad, he was depressed, and I really didn't know how to help him, you know, just me learning from seeing somebody hurt and somebody that's close to me, just trying to figure out how can I uplift him every day. And then after that year, he worked out every day, and he was just hard on himself, just hard on me, and just the guy he is, man. He wake up some days he don't be body, some days he want to be body, you know. So you just gotta balance it out and everything. But he a workhorse and everything. And I was glad to see him and Sincere go at it every day. I'm working harder than you, beating them, each other to the line of the end zone every day. Just even though Sincere don't carry the football, but they just push everybody around. Just the vibe that he have, and just going into that game, he don't worry about the stats. He just worry about trying to help the team and everything. We knew it was gonna be a big, heavy running game and everything. So from what Coach Mack had told us there's 11 guys got to do the job. You know what I'm saying? That's what we did, and we knew the free safety number 10 was a hard scrape on the backside. So when I had to block him a lot of times and try to disrupt him from stop tackling Tajay, but shout out to the O-line, man. They did a big job because just like they said, Tajay didn't come out the game, you know, and he rode the horse the whole time in the game, and that's unbelievable, man. I know he was tired. He had to go. This on the last Wildcat play, going against linebacker Pace when he get the little stutter move. I said, man, you're a little bit tired there because normally you'll come out quicker, but it was just a blessing that we won and broke the streak and everything and made history, and just knowing that we was going to host a conference championship in Yeoman Stadium and just to do it again one more time with our boys and the seniors and everything, man.
Yeah, definitely. And Pat, just to ask you, man, you know, on defense, we didn't have such an easy job either. Another week, another time of not knowing who the quarterback was going to be. Just take me through your preparation of knowing that, you know, regardless of who the quarterback is, that, you know, you had the job to handle a front against a team that had very nice size offensive line.
All week we knew it was going to be a hard-fought game in the trenches, so we just knew we had to just prepare. So we prepared that whole week, and we knew it was on the line, so we just had to go out there and just lay it down. So the whole week, y'all was clowning me. The whole week they was clowning me, saying I have a good game in a minute, so I just wanted to go out there and just put on and show them that, you know, that I can still play and stuff, so... That all played a big role.
He definitely did, Jimmy. I remember that first drive. Cincinnati came out and they had the ball, and it was like a third down play, and Pat set the tone with a great block shed and struck the running back, and that we just really fed off that momentum. Even myself came out playing a little hesitant because I had a finger injury, and then had, you know, messed my shoulder up a little bit early in the game. But just seeing, you know, Pat strike a guy, I was like, okay, well, like, we're in Nipper Stadium, and kind of woke me up like, okay, we got to win this game.
I remember that shoulder injury. I was like, and announcers are saying something like, I don't know if Anderson going to come back. I was like, man, the arms got to literally have to fall off his body to keep that man out of this game. There ain't no way he's staying out, and I know that had to hurt. But
oh yeah, yeah. I thought it was separated. So it was. Oh man, it was tough. It was tough.
You know, one thing I want to say before we move to the next game, you know, I got to shout out. You know, Jha'Quan brought it up, but you know, Tajay might have 6 straight, 7 straight, whatever, 100-yard games, but the reason he had 120, 150 is not just the offensive line, but his receivers getting it done downfield too. The explosive play, the difference between the offensive line can get you the first 5. Running back might have to do the next 5. But if you want 20 and 30 and 35, 40-plus yard runs, these guys have to be doing their job, right? And you know, we'll cover where your compadre helped you out a little bit in a little while in the longest play in Cotton Bowl history. But I mean, you know, that's 1/11th, right? I mean, that's something that Coach Fritz always preached. But your job is not just to do what you're best at, but it's to do everything the team requires. And Pat, I think that also stands out when you look at the way defensive line contained that quarterback. Again, you didn't know if it was going to be the more statue guy, Bryant, back there, or the Mr. Football, real mobile guy. We ended up getting him. But the key there was maybe you can't go for the, you know, beat the block, around the block type of thing where you give him a rush lane. You had to be gap disciplined and make sure you collapse the pocket around him, keep him in that pocket. And that's not always glamorous, but it's what it takes for the team to win, right? So all right, so let's move on, man. American Championship game.
AAC Championship.
Talk about an environment. You know, I remember Nick talking to you on the show before that game, and there's the gleam when we talked about how the UCF guy got first team honors at linebacker and you got second, and you said I didn't realize, I didn't even put that together. You like, well, one of the guys is on that other sideline. I was like, ooh. Nick's got this one circled extra special. I mean, for all the reasons, obviously, we're playing for so much. But from a personal gain standpoint, it was an extra little motivation. Not that you needed any, but you did walk out with the Defensive Player of the Game trophy in that game.
Yeah, man. That really just had fired me up. Simply because I know how hard I work, week in, week out. And you want to be the best. That's the mentality. You want to be the best of the best. And I never really get caught up on individual goals because I told the team prior to the season, team success will bring individual success, and we had so many guys receive all conference honors. But when I heard my name called for second team, I was like, what? I was like, okay, I'm gonna be modest and I'm thankful for it. But second team, like, who got it in front of me?
Who got it right?
And I knew Ivan Pace was gonna be there, and I knew my co-linebacker Dorian was gonna be on there because he's most deserving in all of the conference for it. But then to see a linebacker from Central Florida on there, I was just like, okay, well, I'm glad we got these guys in the conference championship. And prior to the game, actually, there's a picture of me and Coach Moose, him talking to me in pregame. And Coach Moose is one of those coaches, he never talks about honors. He never brings it up. He's always about the team. And Coach Moose walks up to me before we go in for pregame, and he tells me, today is the day to show them who the best linebacker is in the conference. And I took that personal simply because he never brings those type of things up. And I took that with a chip on my shoulder that no matter what, I was going to go out there and have a great performance and do whatever I could, to help the team. And even when I went down to play because my shoulder had got injured again, I was like, yeah, I got to get back in this game because, I'm playing for something bigger than myself. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, each one of you guys did that night, just having the realization that was what we wanted. That's what we came for. So I just want to ask you guys to reflect on that game. Talk about your favorite moments in the game, what stuck out to you, and let's talk about that experience because that's something that we all would share for the rest of our lives.
I'll start. Just the game before that, the last home game before that, with you in the locker room saying, man, it's gonna be not saying, you said this might be our last game in Yeoman Stadium, and the guys really played well that night, and just then fast forward in that game, it wasn't our last game after the Cincinnati game that we beat them and we knew we was gonna host it at home. But it's just a blessing, man, just coming from last year 2-10 and just knowing that we can do it and everything. The one thing that I learned from this whole year, just believing, that's the one thing, just believing and not worrying about the other team, just worrying about how can we get better to help the guys around us better, to perform well on Saturday, Thursday, or whatever day the game on, and I learned a lot just from you being a leader and sincere, Pratt, Ty J, the coaches and everything, Coach Hester, just to me being a better guy and just learning that it just like you said, individuals, not all about you, And that's one thing about this team is a lot of guys bought into not just worrying about them and just having team success and everything works around that, just not being an individual sport,
Right, most definitely. What about you, Pat?
Oh man, that game was probably one of the greatest moments of my football history. That was my first championship I ever won. So it was a very crazy experience seeing the fans rush the field. It just felt like a movie. So it was a crazy experience.
First and foremost, prepare for that game. I remember whenever they said you was second team. And that made us as an offense mad because we go against you and Dorian every day. Right. So we know every week we linebackers, we good on linebackers. We go against the best in the conference every day. So but to see that, it fired us up as an offense because it's you start to think about it. It's okay, we knew how everybody felt about Ivan Pace. We knew he'd be up there, and we expected those two to be next. But we were thinking man, he had to earn this off. We had to be one of the teams he earned this off this honor, and we just didn't think that was right. And so preparing for that game, we knew we had to shut everyone on the defense down, especially the way we felt after the game, and having that last play on the field, first time around UCF, and finishing the game right in front of them, and just knowing all right, that wasn't all we had in the tank. We couldn't live with that regret forever. And just know that how we felt after that game, walking off the field and having the same opportunity for some more this time, for a championship, for a ring, for a trophy, for everything. This one, and we've talked about it a little bit. We won 2 championships, the conference championship and Cotton Bowl championship. Sometimes I can't say for sure because they'll switch back and forth, but a lot of the time that conference championship will mean some more than the Cotton Bowl championship, just because it's we were 2-10 last year, and we walked out of every conference game, the other team and fans, mocking us, laughing at us, and making us feel like less of football players, less of a team because of that. So to just come back and just own the conference, win the conference, and to know that the only team standing of our way of being dominant over the conference, the one team that beat us in the conference, we had our shot at them again, and it was just so much emotion and intensity, and it was something that I'll never forget. Is just being in that locker room right before we go out, and you usually do the team prayer, and just feeling right before we close our eyes, it was just kind of silent for just a second. But everybody was saying everything with the look in their face. Just the intensity and the feeling, like you could just feel everything was just, the stars were lined up. You could tell everybody was about to have the game of their life. And I'll never forget that.
Y'all brought tears to the big man's eyes. There's no doubt about it. Just because, knowing how hard y'all worked for it. But that was always goal number one. Right. It was always a conference championship. That was what y'all started saying to me and everybody who was willing to listen back in December of last year. We're going to win a conference championship. And to see that dream realized. In the way it was realized, just, we could break down the game in all sorts of ways, but I'll point out offensively, I didn't think we would ever see a performance quite like that from us again, just because it was so dominant in terms of running and passing. Tajay with another huge game rushing, but Pratt and the receivers went wild. And the reason they went wild is because Pratt could have wrote a novel in that pocket all game long, clean, so long. 5-6 seconds, double moves, long developing routes, play action, everything had time to develop because of the work y'all did. But just seeing Shea breaking off guys on that deep comeback time and again, seeing Jha'Quan with, it goes a little under the radar because it wasn't one of the long touchdown passes, but one of the biggest catches of the game, the one-handed catch to extend the drive, keep the clock rolling, keep possession late. Because those guys don't go down easy, man. We were in control, but they
kept fighting.
They kept fighting. Plumlee was a little hobble, but he kept. I didn't think he was that good of a passer. He was showing was worth as a passer.
Most definitely. And then just going into that game, going into that week, just getting to the stadium that Monday after Cincinnati game and seeing everybody set everything up, it was like, man, like, it's here.
It's real.
Like, it's here. It's not in Cincinnati. It's not in Orlando. It's in Yeoman Stadium. We have the American Conference logo in our locker room. The trophies on the field. I remember Tajay coming in the training room, I want to say that Thursday night, and was like, man, I just saw the trophy. And then I took off running towards the field because I wanted to see it. And to just see it under the lights, it was like, man, this has to stay here. It's almost like I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Major Payne movie, but in the Major Payne movie,
Wayans, right?
Yeah, in the Major Payne movie, they were battling for a trophy, and the kids got together, and they went to the campus of the other infantry and tried to steal it, and Major Payne knew they weren't going to be able to steal it, and so the kids came back. They had got caught and got in some trouble, and Major Payne asked him, "Did you at least get to see it?" And then that's when the guys was like, "Yeah, I saw it." And he was like, "So you want to steal it?" He was like, "No." He said, "You want to earn it?" He was like, "Yes." And so to just see the trophy and it being our grasp, like, man, we can't let these guys leave here with this. It's at home. It has to stay at home. And we came out and played like it. Offense was firing on all cylinders. Defense flying around, making tackles. And speaking of making Clark setting the tone with big hits. Just, everybody just playing like they didn't want it to end. And then seeing the clock run out, the legs hanging on the ends of the stands, and the fireworks and the students rushing the field and fans crying, pictures, you know, being taken, students running and hugging you and not letting go. It's something I remember for the rest of my life, because I remember also the rainy night at the end of August when we playing UMass and the stadium wasn't full.
Right.
To see such an atmosphere like that, it means more to me than the Cotton Bowl, which a lot of people may find surprising. But without that night, we don't play in the Cotton Bowl.
Right.
And to know that that was something that we all said that we was gonna do, and we all worked together to do, it's amazing. It's amazing.
The one thing that you guys, and I want to dwell on that a little bit longer, because I think it's hard to appreciate. If you're at a football factory, let's say you're in Alabama, LSU, whatever, you expected to do this, and you experience a lot of winning, and it's awesome, I'm sure. But there's something special about doing it here, and maybe it'll become less special because y'all do it all the time going forward, guys returning. But to get that buy-in, because y'all have been on that campus where students walk around, they can care less you play football.
Yeah, they don't know. What
Maybe 10% of the campus cares that you're a football player. The rest
they don't know
of
where
them
the stadium is.
no, they don't. Like not even on their radar that we got a legit, huge, big-time football program. The city, you can walk around anonymously in the city for the most part. People don't know. And in that magic catches, that fire catches as you piling up the wins down the stretch, and as you accomplish more and more, and then you win the league, and now everybody knows, and everybody in the city wants to talk to you, and you're on the front page, you pushing LSU out the front page of the sports section. But to know that from the apathy, it's not hatred, it's the apathy. That's like the indifference is the worst part. To go from knowing that how indifferent people were to the legs hanging off, right? To know that y'all had that effect on that big of a group of people, your peers, the people you go to class with, that they love you, man. They bought into you, and like that to me, that's the special feeling that is not replicable, right? That's the one that can't be topped. And so I'm just so glad y'all got the experience. We didn't get the field rush, but we got a little bit of that sort of town magic, campus magic back then. But in y'all's case, it was even more special, I'm sure. And so, you know, it's just something you can go through 10 lifetimes, and a lot of people will never experience it. And y'all got to experience it. And that's something you're going to treasure. Mm-hmm. And I can see why. And I agree that it's awesome and as special as the Cotton Bowl is, and we'll get to that in a minute. But something that is special and unique about that championship that can't be replaced.
Right, most definitely. I totally agree.
All right, so let's go on, man. Y'all earned it, the New Year's Six appearance.
Yes, sir.
I mean, talk about magic, right? Like if you're a program trying to establish itself, get notoriety, draw up a better script. It's harder to draw up a better script than USC, the white sweaters, the 500-piece band, the colors, the what it is in terms of a status symbol in college football. Added to that, the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, that's just the icing on the cake, Jimmy.
Right. I mean, couldn't ask for a better opportunity to showcase what Tulane football is all about.
Right.
And you know, there was some talk early on, and Nick, I remember you. There was some talk early on about you know, Caleb might not play, and because he played through a pretty tough injury or whatever against Utah in that conference championship game, and it looked pretty gruesome. And I remember watching you on Twitter. Once again, Nick's on Twitter. He's following, liking, he's putting the eyeballs on little quotes here and there of Caleb where it sounds like he might be playing. You wanted him,
right?
I think y'all all wanted him, right? Mm-hmm. Like what you know, we want their best. We're gonna take their best and we're gonna beat them, and we got him. In that game. And when I said earlier I didn't know that the offense could be replicated what we saw in the conference championship, we actually saw that.
We did.
In Dallas. 10.4 yards of play, which is just a staggering thing to think about. That on average, you average a first down every time you snap the ball on offense. But let's go through that game. And the Heisman Trophy winner, he was everything he was cracked up to be.
He did, most definitely was. Caleb Williams definitely showed why he was more deserving of that trophy that game. Mm-hmm. Because he did some things in that game. I was like, oh yeah, he's legit. But first and foremost, just talking to Jha'Quan, man, you got a record, man.
Yeah, he's got a record. His name's on that book.
Like and until somebody tops it, man, you're the record holder for the longest touchdown reception pass. So just take us through that.
I think you got to do it in the Sugar next year.
Just going to that play. It's crazy because I didn't practice that week when they put it in. I mean, practice that week. I was sick for 2 days, and I wasn't even supposed to run that play. You know, Bryce Bohannon was supposed to run it, but I was in at that time when I saw the number board and everything, and looked at my wristband and saw that was the play. I made sure I looked back at the sideline to make sure I was supposed to be in, you know, because I only ran it one time with Pratt and everything. But shout out to the coaches for preparing me versus the coverage. They dropped the end, and they said it all week, slant till you can't. And when I slant, I just look for Pratt. Look for Pratt and everything. If it was zone, he would have went to the left. Since it was man, he came to my side and everything, just delivered the ball, and I saw green grass. And shout out to Keys, man. That's all I tell him every time I see him. Everything, just what I told you, like the selfish. Like nobody on that team was selfish, and that's one of the things that was selfless. You know what I'm saying? That him just going 40 yards blocking the whole time to help me get the 87-yard and the record, man. You know, and that's a blessing, man. You got guys on your team that would die for you, you know what I'm saying? And just seeing that just make you want to go harder and just I'm gonna know I'm going forward, like fast forward until when Tajay fumbled the ball, you know. He got mad and everything, but just everybody on the team just going around him and just pumping him up, telling him it's not over, you know what I'm saying? Just pumping him and pushing it, and not even just him, just the whole team when we were down 14 points, you know what I'm saying? Everybody kept their head high.
Most definitely, because on defensively, we were going through it, man. Because I mean, y'all were scoring so fast that we stayed on the field, and I think a lot of people don't realize, you know, being a month off of truly playing football definitely can take its toll on you, because there's a thing between being conditioned and actually being in football shape. And we were feeling the end of that sword going off, but we kept fighting, and we finally got a break. This man right here, you know, making a key play in the game on a safety. So Pat, just take us through that play, man.
Coach Hamp called up the perfect Tina game that we ever called in all history of Tulane. So when he called the play, just shout out to Noah Talley for making he also made the play. He picked the center and the guard, so it opened up free for me, and I just made the play, and we back in the game. So
I mean, it was incredible sequence. You know, Tajay, I don't want to fast forward too fast, but I mean, you know, because there's so many big plays in the game, but, you know, our guy, you know, our workhorse guy we've been riding and just having a special season, fumbles, right? Yeah. And you know, I guess the first big thing, though, that happened off that, you guys held him to a field goal.
Yeah, we did.
You held him to a field goal, so we go down 15, get the ball back with 4:30, Tajay. Or no, Deuce gets the long reception, right? Yeah. And then Tajay punches in, but we score fast.
Right.
Make it an 8-point game. And then the kickoff, I mean, I just couldn't believe it. When it happened, when the guy fumbled it, I was like, we're going to win this game.
Yeah, most of that. I mean, yeah.
When they got it at the 2 or whatever, 1.5. And so unsung, you know, not that he's unsung in a lot of things, but first, you know, on first down, Dorian steps up big, fills the hole. No gain, right? Keeps him in the same spot, maybe a loss of a half a yard, and sets up Pat's heroics there. And I was going to shout out Noah if you didn't, but I mean, you know, that's the team game aspect of it. He occupies 2 guys. And Pat, you did come off, credit yourself for coming off so tight off the hip of his work, because tackle's trying to get down, tackle can't get down in time. Honestly, low key, I do think you would have had if the guy could have somehow shook Pat, you were closing fast.
He was going down.
It would have been close. It would have been close to Nick Brook beat his block too.
If he shook me, you got a Nick that had Devin right there too, so he was gonna be a safety.
And that's what Hemp said. Just going into that situation, and that's just one of the things that, me being a spiritual person, I just knew that God was gonna make something happen. I never doubted us winning that game, and you know. How else can you write a script like that? You know, you got a talented athlete back there, kickoff return, and he catches the ball and basically throws it out of bounds. and we just, you know, go out there and be able to capitalize and get a safety. And Pat, I was trying to get there, man. I I played cleanup duty that play, man. But shout out to Pat, man, just getting there and making him play, him and Dorian. And no takeaway, no credit to Dorian. 17 tackles, man, is crazy, crazy in the game. And it just showed the reality of Tulane is here. But Sincere, you being the captain of offense, man, I want you to highlight a special player who's also going to be, playing with you, and you'll be able to get to know him more next year. Alex Ballman, a guy that doesn't really talk much, but definitely talked with his play in the Cotton Bowl. So just take us through, what kind of guy he is and what it meant to see him do the things he did.
And Ballman, man, he's a young guy. When the young guys come in, especially at a tight end position, that's a really hard position to play. First and foremost, you got to do what the linemen do and you got to do what the receivers do. So it's a tough position. You're in the middle. You don't really know what to prepare for a lot of the games, and to see him just come in and handle his work, and he don't get in any trouble. He's not really ever caught up in any freshman mischief, and it's his work ethic really showing that he really got what he deserved whenever he caught that ball. And that's just, work is the stuff we division training and things we do like that with Coach Hester, and all that paying off. He went to those extra sections. He was up there catching jugs, and just for him to get that opportunity and make the most of it, and just win that game for us. That's a heck of a catch, man. And just a great guy, and he's gonna be a great leader for this team one day. And he's already, fast forward to the spring now, he's one of the first guys at the facility every day. He's up there with me and Pratt and Quan, and everybody. We're trying to get everybody on it, but he's one of the pioneers. He's one of the first guys. So to see him taking that next step now, and not doing what a lot of freshmen would do, you would assume,
Ride that
hype to the end of time, and he knows that he ain't showed nothing yet. There's a lot more in store for him.
Definitely. And then just a quick shout out to Michael Pratt, man. And one of the things that really hit me, it was a situation and beginning of that last game-winning drive, and it was a 4th down play. It was the first 4th down. And I'm just thinking about the OU game when we played Lincoln Riley. And I'm thinking about how we were in that similar situation. Michael Pratt took off the scramble, and he didn't get it and came up a few inches short. So before that play happened, I'm like, Pratt is going to run the ball. I'm just knowing that Pratt's going to take off. And I'm like, I hope he gets it. I know he's going to get it. He has no choice but to. And to just see him, he came with short inches, but to see him scramble and get that first down, it just really showed me how things come full circle. You playing against Lincoln Riley in a similar situation to win the game, and he gets the first down. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we're winning this game, undoubtedly. And then fast forward, we get to another 4th down. He scrambles to his right, finds Alex wide open in the middle of the field. And after that, it was all she wrote. But that was one of the key moments in the game where I was like, man, nobody else may have realized at the time, but all I'm thinking about is, man, we was in this situation last year when we played against Lincoln Riley. Didn't get it, and Mike got it this time.
Yeah. Well, I want to hit on, man, just can't leave it out, man. My dog, man, Deuce, man. Yeah. Shout out to Deuce, man. On that play, we called seam route, they played cover 3, and Deuce caught it and took the hit. That was a big hit. Some guys, that's a hard hit. I ain't gonna lie to you. You trying to focus on catching the ball and get hit at the same time, trying to brace yourself, and knowing just. I'm glad everything was okay after he caught the ball, but that set us up to go for the winning drive, But shout out to Deuce, man.
But held on through the ground and everything. That was vicious hit. I don't know how it wasn't targeting, but they didn't call it. It's targeting in the other 59 minutes of the game. They don't call in the last minute. It happened in the TCU game too, I think. But
they changed the rule, Jimmy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
got to be crown, right?
It has to be the true crown of the head.
Yeah. I get when I saw it because he wasn't defenseless anymore, right? And so, still looked like the crowd.
Still a little skeptical.
Still looked like
we want that call as Tulane fans.
Yeah, it was vicious though. Shout out to Alex for the best drop in the history too. Dropping that ball in the flat on that first play was huge because we might have lost the clock there.
Yeah. I remember saying good drop after that. I'm talking to myself. I'm like, okay, good drop.
But you talk about Alex. You're kind of looking forward. If you try to think of the offensive weapons Pratt's working with next year, you know, we're not going to talk very much about next year, but you know, it's almost like a basketball team. Like you want to have your guards and your bigs, right? And we're losing some legit bigs in terms of passing. Will was a 6 offensive lineman. He was awesome, one of the best blocking tight ends around in the country. I'll put my money on that. But in terms of weaponry, like in a pass game, you know, Tyreek was a big weapon. Lost him late in the season, but then Deuce was that power forward. Deuce was that vertical guy who can win a contested catch, a high point. You lose that. We got the backcourt. We got the fastest receiving core in the league coming forward next year. Ain't no doubt about it between Jha'Quan, Lawrence, and some of the other guys, but we got that covered.
Right.
But we're going to need that big body, man. We're going to need that power forward. Alex is going to have a big opportunity to step up and fill some shoes. Even if it's a different position than Deuce, it's still sort of kind of the same role in terms of route concepts and everything. So I'm glad he got his feet wet at a big moment. No moment's going to be too big for that kid. But, man, look, the confetti's coming down. You've reached it, right? You reached the mountaintop. There's been only about 30,000 different videos online about the celebration. You know, when the call was overturned, the touchdown was given, and when the clock ran out. Nick, I mean, you were on the field. Pat, you were on the field when that clock ran out, man. Like, just first moment, what were y'all thinking?
Man, just I'm gonna be honest with you, Jimmy. First thing that came to mind for myself was, man, I missed 4 tackles. So that was the first initial thought that really hit me when the confetti was coming down was, man, in your last football game, you missed 4 tackles. And then I was like, we won. I quickly shook it off and was like, regardless, we won. Like, we just beat USC, Heisman Trophy winner. The confetti is falling. You can arguably say you were on the best Tulane team ever. No disrespect to
No, you can say it, man.
And it's just like, looking up in their stands, it's like, none of these people care that I missed 4 tackles. We won the game, and that's all that matters. And to see that sea of green, to see even from the field, the tears, the true excitement, the passion of knowing that prior to the season, when you asked me what did I want to leave at Tulane, and I just said a legacy, I felt like it was cemented in that moment that I was able to play my small role in this team to help leave a legacy that will carry forward. And that was just the storybook ending that I needed going forward.
Yeah, there's no doubt, man, and that's not a small legacy, a small part you played in that. You know, I top 10. You know, it's something special about that. We finished number 9 in the country. My team did that. I think guys, we probably got to go back. I don't want to sleep on any of the '70s teams that had some good runs, but I don't think there was a top 10 team. You have to go back to probably the 30s or 40s from them. So, you know, we each hold a special place in Tulane history, but you know, to y'all's point, we didn't play that schedule y'all played, man. I mean, to beat USC, I mean, they were a quarter away probably from playing in the playoff,
Right.
and to beat them with Caleb playing superbly. I mean, playing like the best quarterback in the country. No disrespect to Pratt, I mean, he's close, but Caleb was the best guy this year at least. To win that and to do it in the way y'all did it, man, that goes down forever. And that's not just Tulane history books, man. You're gonna go to Atlanta at some point, College Football Hall of Fame,
Right.
and there's gonna be something about this team.
Right. This team, man, a team like no other. Don't forget to get your posters.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a team like no other, exactly, and it's because of what happened. It goes back to 2021, right? Michael Pratt played through torn abductors and torn meniscus and torn labrums and all this stuff, and he couldn't even throw in a week, and he's going out trying to give it, and not for no reason, right? It's for every reason in the world. That's what my point. But to the outside, no reason, right? Lost season. Why is that guy going out there risking, playing through this? But he did it, right? All of y'all playing through the different injuries y'all played through, and just sort of putting in the work when nobody was watching, right? Virtue and excellence and virtue is not what you do when everybody's watching. It's what you do when nobody's watching.
Right.
And it so clearly came out when the world was watching. You were ready for that moment because of that work, right?
It was definitely.
And it was just cool, man. It was so cool to be a part of it, the whole ride, and it couldn't have been a better group of guys. I mean, you guys just have moved my heart, and you got fans forever. My girls love Coach Quan and the rest of y'all, but they come up to y'all, they see y'all, they just think y'all are best friends, man. 10-year-old, 9-year-old giving you hugs and all that stuff. But it's something that Tulane Nation is gonna treasure forever. More importantly, you guys get to treasure forever, man. Y'all gonna be old men like me one day, and y'all gonna be calling each other and be like, "All right, man, when we're getting back together, going back down to Human, let's go watch this." Now that we're a powerhouse, winning the SEC or whatever they do in 25 years from now because of what y'all started.
Foundation.
Y'all the foundation. Y'all the foundation. And so it's something that you should always be proud of, and I can't think of any better way to sort of go out here on this 3-part special. I guess I'll give y'all the last word. If y'all got any last words sort of on what this all means, y'all tell us.
I don't know. I know what I gotta say. It's 2 more weeks to get the rings. 2 more weeks to get the rings.
Yeah. And all I want to say is thank you first and foremost for a lot of things that you and the rest of the collective help with. It really puts a lot of things in perspective for us guys, and the platform we have and that we're giving you guys, giving us an opportunity to show that. And I feel like a lot of that and a lot of what you guys help with really helps to take that aspect out of the game. And I feel like a lot of other teams are having a lot of NIL issues and this and that. And I feel like you guys, the collective, does a good job of helping us out and assisting us. So thank you guys.
Well, we're happy to do it. It helps the way y'all want to serve the community too. Keep our focus in the right place, and it all falls into place.
Just shout out to Jimmy O, man, for having me be a co-host tonight, man. It really enjoyed it, man. I can see this after my NFL career, man.
The man's got many options. TV is definitely one of them. TV is definitely in the cards for Nick if he wants them. So, well, folks, I think that's going to wrap it up for this final of 3 episodes, special Jimmy O Show production here, chronicling the season. Please be sure, Nick mentioned it, please be sure to check out that link. Go get your posters. Let's support this collective. Support it in any other way that you can by checking out the website, ftwcollective.com. Thank you so much, and folks, till next time, roll wave.
No way.